I didn't have a regular childhood, a lot of people would, In 16, I remember that clearly because that's when everything's changed for me. I was on the run, at the time I was 16 years old, and, actually I was in the run in Camden, New Jersey.
A manhunt is underway for this hour
in Camden, New Jersey.
Does anybody need, are you all set for canines? Every search team have a canine right now? So negative, they're going to sweep.
I had the whole police force looking for me, and at the time, that was a time that I was homeless because no one wanted me in that house because the police was, kicking that door. Being raised in prison from 16 to, past my 20s is, a lot of people can't tell you that experience, and being raised in, the inner city like Camden, New Jersey. I was 16 years old, I was doing talk and stuff like, Camden police, some other How did I cope when I was in prison? I used many things to help me, cope on that, cope with, the challenges of going through incarceration, no matter what I did, even if I did something wrong or I fucked somebody up or we ran, ran down on a nigga, took his commissary, whatever I did, I always prayed, I always, kept God like, yo, God, I know, this might be wrong, but at the time I was starving, and I coped by many things. Like I kept myself in school, I kept playing basketball, I played soccer with the essays, baseball. I kept myself active in something, and I always wanted to learn, better things and more things. And I also use music, I used to write music every day, all day, every time I'm writing a song, and that song is to keep me, inspire me from doing, to move to the next day. Like I wrote music basically for me, so I can get some inspiration or some hope for the next day because I didn't have a lot of family and friends supports, I didn't have no phone calls, I didn't have that girl that could knock down and visit every day, so I was, I used to use music all the time. And, it's times I met, the boy, this guy, Nino, he came to jail. He used to mess with Bustin', I guess around the time they had Violator Records, but I wasn't home, when they had Violator Records. So he was tight, I guess he was in North Carolina, him and Busta was fly. I used to say what Busta do, I used to, when I make music out, I ran across my boy Randy, he was Jay-Z, man, Jay quoted him out, and I think one of them songs, Big Ran, I ain't forget you, fool, me and him was fly, so, and we used to know that, I used to, on the strength of him, everything that Jay was doing, with music, and he was like, yo, you want to mess with music, man, when you get out, whatever, I never did that to that point, So, besides music, my mother before she passed and prayer and God and other little support, that's what helped me, get from, cope with prison the way, me up to this point now. How do I feel about the justice system, now after being incarcerated? It's no justice, though. We never had no justice, as far as, the world we live in, up to now. My situation, I'm not saying I'm a saint. I'm no saint, I'm not saying I'm an angel, like I'm an innocent person in the world, but, I was incarcerated for, basically not rolling on or turning on my niggas, and my family. And then The thing was that, I was going through basically, I wrote the NAACP because I was being treated much, unfairly, fuck the NAACP, and I don't care who said it, because, they only ride for people's cases that's got money or they want high profile, they don't look out for the people that's in the hood that's going through, little injustice things and shit. Like, I got a little brother, Alan Rodriguez, he's from Camden. He got caught in a situation where, he sold drugs. We all know drug dealers, but he sold drugs to this one person. And the person that actually came and brought the drugs, took the drugs supposed to be, quote unquote, took the drugs from my little bro, and went somewhere else and did the drugs. Then a couple of days later, he died. So you don't believe, how can you put a murder on a drug dealer? People go with their own will to go purchase something. If I go to, a place like the bar and I drink and then I go home and I crash and I kill somebody in a car accident, do I sue the bar and the bar owner for giving me that liquor? We tend to look at, certain justice in different places. And when you're black, you're Hispanic, and you're in the hood, you're not going to have the justice that, a person in a rich neighborhood or a white person has, So I look at like the justice system, like, they railroaded me. It was crooked all the way until, the detective told me with his own mouth, like, I got your papers and your release, because we see that you was in another place at the time these things was going on, but of these people, so if you figure that, they had, a point where they withholding my innocence because they want me to cooperate for something, that's injustice. So I don't think the justice systems would be fair, not on minorities, and the way I see Meek's situation, I can look at Meek's situation and do I feel like it's unjust? Yeah, I can see that it's unjust because you take Justin Bieber, for example. He can act up, but they won't, put him incarcerated like they'll do Meek. They do Meek, and it's always been crooked cops and crooked law enforcement in any of the neighborhoods, any hoods you go through that got poverty. So, in Meek's situation, I think I was Meek besides the rap things. I think we all have growth. We all go through some growth. There's good growth and there's bad growth. Good growth, is when you have a sign of, you come to a point in your life when you see what you thought was important is no longer important. And the things that were important is no longer there because they have vanished. It's only then person attends to cherish the true values of life beyond sight. And then, however, you have your bad growth. Your bad growth is once you make a lifestyle of what others' perceptions are of you. I think that we all need to find a purpose of what we were set out to be and not what others make out for us to be. It's like some people can't give up the game because what people think about us. Some people don't want no job because of what people say about them, and etc., etc. Some females, only want to be around these type of dudes because she's scared to be around a geek dude, and she don't want to. Her girls might talk bad about her or whatever. So it's good growth and it's bad growth. You can grow, on the guidance where you grow straight up like a tree, or you can grow within your bad habits and it can be deep rooted. But both of it is growth. Do I think prison made me better or worse? Prison can tend, to make people worse. It depends on that individual. Like I said, prison is like 97% negative. So it depends on that person, and what that person put out, The question for me, I think it made me both. It made me good at some things, and it made me better at some things, and it made me worse at some things. Like I think the good part is, I get to see things more than I couldn't see before. I get to, try to solve problems and come up with solutions to problems that I couldn't come up with before. From going through rages and for not, feeling abandoned, having a cold heart. I think for me, challenging myself and, I knew that I wanted to do something different than what they got me in here. I wanted to be something that, that they say I couldn't be. But for that part of it, it made me, better because, here it is, a few years I'm home and, they said I'll be back. And I got people say, oh, you gonna be this, you gonna be back, or you ain't gonna do shit, and I'm here. And I think the worst part, for me is, on the point of, family and loving wise, because in prison you don't have no feelings. Like Christmas may be great and something fun to someone who's in the free world, but someone who's locked up is like another day, and birthdays and so on. So, when you come out here, those things ain't the same. Things that used to make you laugh, it's not the same, and the way, you interact with people is not the same. And so it made me worse in that category, for the point where, it's hard for me to trust, because I didn't have the people, it's hard for me to trust because, I didn't have people that really, showed me that trust. They turned their backs. It makes you worse in different categories. And sometimes that, now I look at it, I think it balanced me out. Advice I would give someone that's dealing with incarceration or they're gonna be dealing with it. I tell them, to like never give up. Like. Never give in. Something in prison, it's kind of hard, to give someone advice verbally, but it's more like I thought about suicidal a lot, You think about that. You think about giving up. You think about, why I'm here, why, you think about that. But, you gotta understand though, that tough times don't last, man. Tough people do. You can get the toughest times in life. And may God bless that child who holds his own and oversees those tough times because it brings out character. It's like, you're going through a struggle at the time, but, it's like you got to find what, in a bad situation, you got to find the good things that help you go from that day to day because if you got a release date, you're always going to get, no matter how far it is. And they say I was going to get life. The judge, he talked a little cashy. Fuck with him. He talked cashy. He talked real, talk real foul. And I started believing that. The things they say you're never going to come home. And you never, some days go by. You might get that first day, second day. You might play cards, chess. You might get a few phone calls. You might fight some motherfucking chicks. You know what I mean? You use it, but as those days goes on, those things get old and you tend to become stale. Those people that was once there, they not there, especially if you don't get no flicks or no pictures or nothing like that. I used to read other people's cards, like my celly cards that, that was, get some hope because, that was the way for me to read, I had my auntie, my sister, my mom passed, away. That was it, I would really get too much support. So when you don't have it, when you you don't got nobody in your corner, you gotta find a reason just to, make a promise with yourself and not give up and keep going and don't let nobody see, any defeat in you, So even, people I can't say too much about Meek, because he got a strong support, even though he going through that mentally, because prison is a mental thing. It ain't physically. That's why you see niggas coming home all motherfucking cocky, But their mind not there because they didn't work their mind out in there, You gotta open your eyes, man. Read. You know what I mean? Don't be around that nigga talking that war story all the fucking time, man. Don't just be wasting your time finding the parlay and trying to motherfucking chase the CO females. If you got some in there, like, don't be chasing them. Just focus on what you gotta do and know that one day you gonna come out of there. So you gotta prepare yourself for, you know what I mean, your release. And the only way you can prepare yourself for your release and not doing it is to practice. And that's all the time you got. You ain't got nothing else but time. So, you know, if that's the point, I tell somebody, just don't give up, man. You know, keep your faith, keep it 100 with God. And the amount of problems you're going to have is zero. You know, so with that being said, man, you know what I'm saying? I just say, you know, I sign it off with, you know, keep moving, stay focused, you know, and find a way. Whatever you don't pull, you know what I mean, you got to drag. That's the thing they used to say, you know, so I want to shout out a few people, you know what I mean, my boy, you know what I mean, Corey Akers, you know, my boy Ron Lee home, Tay, you know, Manny, Zoe, Rue, Diamond, you know, all my niggas that's, you know, been, you know, is incarcerated now, as well as incarcerated, free, you know what I mean, Ali Ski, and, you know what I mean, free Meek, and, you know, we got to start, you know, standing together. We want justice, you know what I'm saying? And we got to fight for justice. You know, I'm out.
R.I.P. to my mom, Sonny and Kev. My prayer predict no more pain, sunny days ahead. Just reach for the sky, nigga, keep on reaching. These niggas stuck dumb, niggas keep on teasing. I always wonder why we never harder for two. Idolizing all these racks, man, these needles and bookies. Sad to say these new jacks is living a movie. I'm from the blood of a real nigga, you never confuse.
We still have a few people that's in situations that you went through prison and got, you know, it made them turn around where they counteracted that negativity into something positive. So, you know, the question for me, I think it made me both. It made me good at some things, and it made me better at some things, and it made me worse at some things. You know?
If tomorrow I tell the press that, like, a gangbanger will get shot, or a truckload of soldiers will be blowing up, nobody panics. Because it's all part of the plan. But when I say that one little old mare will die, well, then everyone loses their minds. Introduce a little anarchy. Upset the established order, and everything becomes chaos.